Well, good evening and welcome to a slightly amended Separated by Water this evening, podcast number 10. My name is Colin Campbell. I'm a Spurs season ticket holder from Drummahoe in Northern Ireland for my sins. And my good friend and co-host is...
Pablo, today, Sligo. First thing is, I apologise if the signal's a bit weak. I'm in a hotel in Sligo, and the signal, I'm not just sure how it's going to go, but bear with us. One other thing I'll say to you is Pablo was meant to be with us tonight. Unfortunately, Pablo's not so well, so we wish him all the best. We had to postpone the Real Madrid supporters episode. So yeah, he'll be back with us maybe a couple of weeks' time. It's scheduled for next week, but we'll maybe redo that again and put it back for 2 more weeks.
Okay. Plenty to talk about anyway with the weekend and so on. Yeah. Just before we go any further, I would like just to make one reference of tribute to a very good friend of mine, Brian Caldwell, the late great Brian, who sadly passed away. He had what was a long but brave battle with cancer. Unfortunately, he succumbed last week. Brian was one of the founder members of the Colin Tottenham Supporters Club, along with myself and one or two others, Dermot, so on. He was a fellow who epitomised fun. He really did. And he and I were no strangers to VAT 19 over the years in London, or at his house or mine when we were watching Spurs. He was a life and soul. VAT 19, by the way, is Captain Morgan nowadays. So, Brian, we miss you terribly. The service is on Thursday. I'll be there. And I just want to say I wish you were still here. I miss you terribly. I'll maybe see you soon someday. Good man. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely words. I met Brian once. It was in the Captain's Bar in Coleraine. And for those of you who don't know it, most of the people down south, it used to be a smoky bar. It's still the time and at the low ceiling. And you were in there, and Brian was in there, and there was a Spurs game on. Yeah, it was great atmosphere. All-round fun guy, and sadly missed. Yeah, nice words.
Okay, thank you. Okay, taking us on really before we go any further. Paul's puzzler. Have we a puzzler this week? Have we a puzzle?
We have. Let me just guess, and there we go. 5 teams in the Premiership have a round badge on their shirts. Name the teams. 5 teams. Now, teams that move back and forward. A badge, but these are cemented five teams that are, as far as I can remember, always at a round badge. And I googled it and checked it out, and I said it and saying that there's only 5. So send them in one at a time. Get involved in the comments. Send us in your answers as always. Send them in one at a time. Send them in all 5 at a time if you want. We'll cover it at the end and these answers and see who got it right, got it wrong.
Well, we can see 2 that don't anyway. Obviously. Our shirts in a minute. Yep. Okay. Well, weekly review of the weekend. For my sins, I went over to see the mighty Spurs play in London versus West Ham. I made a wee record of it to give you a feel for the ground and the surrounding areas. We'll have a quick look at that now.
Yeah. Now and then you can tell us about the game, and I'll tell you what it was like watching it on TV. It was a superb to watch on TV, but I'll get to that in a minute. So this is the video diary that Colin done for us.
Just lovely to have a nice escort here. Just had our nice journey up with a selection of West Ham fans in the train. Lovely boys. But that's the ground. You've seen this one before, so give you a few shots once we get into the ground itself. This is the approach. When we come over, going to have to close up because I showed them my ticket, which is needless to say on my phone. Okay, but better than the old turnstiles of the 70s and 80s, but only marginally. This is one of the tap-ins, it's called nicely. I may not be able to get film of the pint filling from the bottom up, but it is quite interesting. Well, for like me, I'm absolutely starving, So I'll see you soon. This is kind of passes for entertainment at halftime sometimes. The guy with the mic is overly enthusiastic. It works when you're, but I'm not sure. It's still good when we are. Each corner has a pretty good video which provides live footage. Bit of vocal accompaniment, friends from West End. I'll tell you to hear the real.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, it was ultimately a successful journey.
Final score. Happy result.
Yeah.
Happy result.
I mean,
yeah.
From the point of view of the journey, and we'll try to enlighten people about what, for the benefit if they're going over to England to see games. Living where I live, I had to get up at 3:25 in the morning, 25 past 3, my alarm went off. I was up in the shower, getting ready, out of here by just before 4, a cup of coffee, or a thermos flask. Arriving down in Belfast City just after 5, sticking to the speed limits. And getting in, and to find out, of course, that the flight had been delayed by the flight should have gone out 10 past 7, was going out after 8. Now I would have taken more time and probably only a little, but I'd like to be there. Flight itself is okay. Got into Gatwick, then Gatwick Express. Well, it wasn't the Gatwick. We found a better way to do it this time because we're going straight to the ground. Time was tight enough. Blackfriars and then Liverpool Street. So it was Liverpool Street as we were sleepily winding our way around to the overland train to take us up to White Hart Lane that we were met. This noise was coming from somewhere, like a kind of a Jurassic Park sense, and you sense the noise and vibrations. And then at the top of the building, it came all the West Ham fans down, chaperoned, of course, by the police. So it turned out we were all sharing the same train, and we kept our heads down for most of the part. And it was fair enough. And they got off, we all got off, and there were two exits, one for them and one for the Spurs fans who were coming up there, the two of us. So that was that. You see the ground, just one of the more recent phenomena in grounds is how slowly they fill up. Close to full, it's close to the kickoff before the place is bunged. Years ago, it would have been packed very early on. People were just enjoying the drinks or the food,
Yeah, that's probably to do with the facilities in the ground.
Yeah.
That's probably to do with the facilities in the ground. You've got something to do.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, Tottenham have group on or singers and things, and the TV screens and the food and all that. So that's what I think. And it's very easy to get your seat now. So all of that undermines the atmosphere pre-game at half-time, but probably better overall. West Ham will turn up in force, as they always do, give a good noise while they were going well, but ultimately, to say they decided to practice their fire drill early and left quite early in the game. In terms of the game itself, from my point of view, it probably wasn't as entertaining to me as it might have been to you. We were waiting. West Ham nearly scored, then did score for more or less the same move. And I started to fear the worst. But we give ourselves a kick in the backside. Kulichevsky's equaliser. We got to half time, and Ange made what appears to be a lauded tactical change, whereby he substituted Maddison for Sarr. Sarr came on and seemed to change the game. Now, I've always liked Sarr. I always thought Maddison, and Basima could play together. But it's been either or at the minute. And it did. Spurs up the pace. Son seemed to get the hang of himself. and all of a sudden West Ham seemed to wilt a bit. Now, I do think West Ham fell apart a wee bit, and I'm disappointed on their behalf for that. Until the end, they lost their head, and your man decked 3 Spurs players. And it's not, handbags at 12 paces and all this kind. The rule isn't about the effect of the punch or the push or the headbutt. The rule is the fact that they happened, and that's why he was gone off. How the referee thought only to yellow card him initially remains a mystery, given that meant he and Van den Ven had equal punishment. So now the FA and their wisdom are going to charge Spurs and West Ham, and as you know, the rest is sort of goes on from there. So that was that.
Watching it on TV, I think Spurs, what Spurs does under Postacoglu, it's a very open game, very high press, and it's very interesting to watch. Very open. It's his own form of jeopardy comes along with that. It does.
Yeah.
But, and it can go either way, as it did for you, as it did with Arsenal, etc. Different game completely. But I just thought that West Ham, they had their few minutes, I think, after halftime. I think I texted you at halftime and said to you, you need to score and close this down. And you did. You come out your different team again. And my only disappointment was that Brendan Johnson I couldn't get an apology out of you this week. But it was I thought he's played well. I think Son's a great captain. I think he plays a very, very, he's just a good captain, a good all-round captain.
Well, lead by example, I mean, I there must be about 20,000 Koreans there at Tottenham Stadium. And, he's responsible for that. And it's an amazing experience to watch them. And I'm sure the club shop enjoys them as well, because they're carrying bags of stuff. Hundreds of pounds worth, I'm sure. He leads by example. He's a great fella. He seems like a lovely fella. Yeah. I think sometimes he's a wee bit of a headless chicken. We did worry that without Kane, he would be a little bit exposed. But he's adapted, and the goal he scored, although I think the keeper might have been disappointed, it was a good goal, and he got involved. And we need him to be involved. We need him to be lively. And that kind of play needs Spurs forwards to be lively. And largely they were. Solanke had a decent game. Kulusevski in his new position was good. And there were lots of plus points. I'm old-fashioned. I believe defence is an essential part of the game. Some of my favourite players were defenders. And even I think there was a a Champions League final between Juventus and AC Milan at Old Trafford many moons ago, which ended 0-0. And it was one of my favourite games ever. Because, but then I like chess. So sometimes I like the defensive nature. And that's why Tottenham's high line gives me, canaries, at times.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah.
But there you go.
It was very enjoyable to watch. Anyway, I can say that much.
Well, I'm glad
moving on
to were happy.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, you need to be happy about that. Forest were. Our game was. I don't know if you watched it last night or not. I predicted.
So somebody, what about Forest?
6 points. Yeah, well, it was a good game. I have to say that we've got 2 centre backs there. We bought this guy, and I'm telling you, he is going to be a legend of the game. He's going to be a legend in the Premiership if he's Premiership. And him and they have the two of the best centre back pairings in the league. Elliot Anderson, we pulled his pants down when we got him. 23 million. They had for PS, I think. But he settled in, and there seems to be a good mood. Wood once again does the business, scores, but Sells is cemented as a Premiership keeper now. Has to be in the top 10 of the Premiership keepers. He saved 2 cracking shots last night, and we done well. The weekend we'll do our previews at the end of the episode, but happy with that. Talking about other games, Liverpool. Chelsea banana skin, I'm afraid. It could have went either way at one stage, but I think Liverpool just did too much in the bag. Arsenal, I was talking to 2 Arsenal fans yesterday. Both of them said, absolutely.
Well, may have lost Paul there. We'll see if he comes back. From my point of view, I was looking at the games I said last week I thought would be interesting were Ipswich and Everton and Southampton and Leicester. Relegation battles very early in the year. The one thing you need to do is beat your relegation rivals at home. And the one thing you should not do is lose to your relegation rivals at home. From my point of view, I think. Are you back? I was just talking about Everton and Ipswich.
Yes,
there.
Thank you. My apologies. I did anticipate that this was going to happen. Apologies. It's not ideal.
Yeah, over the weeks we've been talking about Everton, and I predicted they would go down. Equally, I seem to contradict myself in a way by saying that if you were a team looking to get a manager to get you out of relegation trouble, you would go for Sean Dyche. Now, they had a good win against Ipswich. I think for Ipswich, this is all a fascinating carousel for them. They've come in the last few years. They've come up very quickly. Kieran McKenna, who we featured in Emerald Eye, is one for the future. And I think Ipswich are having a great time. And if they go down, they'll be wanting to go down in a way that will get them back up again. And I think that's possible. You know, from Everton's point of view, they just simply cannot go down given everything that's coming ahead for them. And I'm starting to change my mind about them. Southampton and Leicester, I fear Southampton, I think, are different than Ipswich. I think they see themselves as a Premiership club. They went down, they thought that was a blip. They come up again, and they really do want to stay this time. But losing after being 2-0 up to Leicester is a body blow, and that will damage them. And it may damage the confidence in their manager, whom I have a lot of time for. I don't want a young local manager to be sacked. But, you know, he was probably honest in his interview. He said, what can you say to guys who've just gone through that? They need to defend better. Leicester have a couple of things that will help them. They have a couple of good players, and they have a player who knows where the net is in Jamie Vardy, and maybe one more season he'll maybe just do enough to keep them up. So, and Bournemouth, whom I thought might go down, well, they did the bizzle. But I think...
so, in interim season prediction, Colin, who's going down? Give me your best guess at the 3 going down.
I think Ipswich, Southampton, and I think it could be. I'm going to change Southampton for Everton. I'll stick, believe it or not, I'll stick with Bournemouth and Ipswich. All right.
Yeah. I was listening to various radio shows today on the way up the 5-hour journey, and everybody's on there. Crystal Palace, we're too big to go down. We can't go down.
Yeah.
I think that Stretch is going to. I think he loves being up in the Premiership. He loves hunting toiting with all the other chairmen, and I don't think he'll want to go down. So I think he's going to make a move sooner rather with the manager. I don't know. Wolves too big to get down? Nobody's too big to get down.
No. I just, you know, maybe there's a wee bit of hope on my side. The 2 managers mentioned, he's Jim Glasner. I had them going really well last year. I think they lost a couple of key players, but I think he will see that, and if he gets through to January, they will sort that out. I think Wolves must be the unluckiest team. Now, one thing, they cannot concede the lead as they've continued to do. Every time I watched them, which isn't every match, they've gone 1 up and given the lead away. Now, they've got to sort that out. But I have a lot of warmth for Gary O'Neill and a lot of warmth for Wolves.
So do I.
Clubs, you know. So I kind of hope they stay up. It's not looking good at the minute. But I'll pick my teams, and I have to stick with them.
There was an interesting topic talked about today off the back of that game. And it was, do you think that referees subconsciously side, not corruptly, not through corruption,
no, I understand,
with the top 6? Do they have somewhere in the subconscious here, do they have to give it to them? And I thought Gary O'Neill's analogy was fantastic. He said, if you're going to fall out with somebody, are you going to fall out with the small guy or the big guy? You want to fall out with the small guy because it's going to give you less hassle. And that was a great analogy.
Well, it is a good analogy, but it may not be a good analogy of the incident he's referring to. Unconscious bias, from my background in psychology and so on, is a commonly used term, more often or not in job applications or promotions or that kind of thing, where assessors or interviewers are seen to accused possibly of having what they call unconscious bias. In other words, they're biased against or for something but don't realize it. Now that worries me. I see Gary O'Neill's point, but I would respectfully say maybe he's contradicting, because what he's saying is it's unconscious, and yet the referee's going, oh, well, I don't want to upset Man City here. Wolves were at home, and it may have been easier to go be a homer, and give it, not give the goal to please the Wolves fans.
But he didn't.
Well, no, because he thought it was a goal. I mean, his judgment was that the City player wasn't interfering with play. Now, we don't want the arbitrary offside because it does spoil things, and it was a judgment. I mean, do you think it was a goal or should have been disallowed?
I think that consistency is the word here. We are not getting consistent decisions, and it's poor Wolves. Poor Wolves always seem to be the end of it. And after Wolves, Forest are the two teams. Forest and Wolves, and thus far, we've had good refereeing decisions this season. Wolves get an awful bad.
Okay, the problem is, like the pundits go, we want referees to use their initiative, and then we want consistency. And sometimes the two aren't necessarily the same thing. Consistency would be saying that's the letter of the law. And the easiest way to have consistency is to say that's the letter of the law, so that's that. What referees and what we want referees to do is sort of be in the moment and say in their estimation what happened there. So the referee thought that the City was not on review, was not interfering with play and gave the goal. I would have given the goal. No, I didn't want City necessarily to score. I did have that sinking feeling as a Spurs fan. You always do when your team's playing with 3 minutes to go against a team like City. You're going to do something to give one away. But I coming out for referees again, I think you could say it was unconscious bias. You could say he was going for picking on the small guy around the big one. Or you could say he made a brave decision and he made a good decision. And that's what's wonderful about football,
I wouldn't have disallowed that goal. I wouldn't have disallowed it. But so the previous one, I can't remember which team it was, but there was one that was almost exactly the same. And it was disallowed the previous week. And there has to be, it's where's VAR, and if they're intervening, I don't know.
Yeah, the judgment of interfering with play is a subjective thing, or it can't be. Well, you've got to say, well, I think he was interfering, or he wasn't, and that will come in with line of sight or proximity or whatever it might be. If the player is in the goalkeeper's line of sight or line of vision, it could be seen as interfering with play. If he's too close to him or touched it, or others could say, well, he was that close, but he wasn't interfering at all because the goalkeeper was, focused another way. And that's where they will want referees, in my opinion, to use their initiative and to say use it as if they're daft. They're there to decide what they think happened or didn't happen. And that would be what I want. More than but I would like them to consistently decide confidently what they think the situation was at that given time, regardless of maybe what happened the week before somewhere else, or the year before somewhere else. We'll see where we go.
Fair enough. Anyway, comment section is very quiet tonight. Come on, guys, give us your opinions, give us your ideas, your questions. Just on that, Colin, we'll maybe do in the future. I'll just go to future episodes if that's okay.
Of course.
Just to show you what we're going up. We have Pablo coming on Real Madrid. We might give him another week to cover. Then we have an old mate of mine, Michael Crooks. He's actually at the Leeds game tonight. I can't remember who they're playing tonight.
Right.
But he's coming on the following week. So we have supporters coming up from all different areas. We have another one coming up. I sent you the tweet during the week. I think you maybe got it. If I can see it, there we go. Is that it?
Chris?
Sorry, whenever I blocked out there, all my pre-prepared things disappeared. So I don't have the fluency that I normally have with just producing stuff up on the screen.
Yeah. I don't
so it's not come up anyway. Oh, there it is there. So yeah, we talked. This is your Emerald Eye leads on to that, Colin. So maybe do your Emerald Eye and then I'll tell you what we're talking about then.
Okay, well, look, we're talking about Emerald Eye this week. We thought maybe give it a wee bit of bigger one. Basically, in terms of the Premiership and the English League, the Football League, whatever you want to call it, about I'm trying to say if you're Irish, come into the Premiership, but or maybe not. It appears that the subject here is the sort of diminishing number of Irish players in English football leagues and why it might be an issue. I mean, for me, goes back. There's a scene from Kenneth Branagh's movie Belfast, in which the young man is playing, kicking ball up against the wall, and against the terribly not to scale goalposts. But written on that wall, because there's nothing else really significant about the scene except to set the whole scene for the movie, was a name written: Blanchflower, Danny Blanchflower. Yeah, the great Danny Blanchflower. I'd never seen him play, but I know enough about him. And when I saw that name in the cinema that day, I set up, heart raced to me and thought, God, yeah, Blanchflower was captain of a great double-winning team for Spurs in the early 60s, played in the World Cup for Northern Ireland, so he'll be immortal in many, many ways. But probably there's more to it than that. Danny was from Belfast. He was just like me. He was one of us. He was one of our own. I was there with my grandfather, my dad, and my young brother when George Best at the railway end scored that disallowed goal against Gordon Banks' England team. And even by George's standard, my God, what drama that was. I was there a few years earlier when he beat Scotland by himself, and against the same opposition a couple of years after that when he decided to get himself sent off for throwing muck at the referee. Never a dull moment with George. Some people think he was the best ever in the world. You could say that. But he was from Belfast. He was one of us. He was one of our own. And my personal favourite, not only because he played for Spurs, Big Pat, Spurs legend, Pat Jennings, known universally as Big Pat. And, despite being one of the shyest, most retiring of men, his fame transcended the sport. It was double penalty save at Anfield in 1974, a save against Charlie Cook from Chelsea in a relegation Spurs-Chelsea battle, believe it or not. He single-handedly held off the Dutch team in the mid-70s for Northern Ireland. But his Newry man makes him one of us, one of our own. And maybe he, for me, was possibly the best ever. If you look down south, yeah, no shortage. Paul McGrath, what a player. Charlie Hurley, Packy Bonner, Liam Brady, Robbie Keane, David O'Leary. I'm sure there's a lot of names from north and south I've left out that you could be shouting at me at the minute. But that makes my point. Because where are we going now? Where are we going now with Irish players, I'm reliably informed that in 2023, there were only 13 Irish players in the Premiership, with Premiership clubs.
Yeah.
And only 5 or so made anything like regular appearances. And the situation does not appear to have got any better, Does it matter?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It depends on you, it depends on me. It's purely a question of personal opinion. If you don't care whether it's a Billy or a Liam or a Sergei or a Fritz who scores the winner, saves the penalty or lays on the telling pass, fair enough. But for many of us, I think we'll like to see players come from our own patch and do well. Brexit, needless to say, probably something to contribute to this. Boys were picked up in their early teens before brought over to the clubs. Now with the Brexit ruling, in a nutshell, they have to be 18 before they can sign for an English club. By that time, they may have gone to other pastures new, some to Europe, some lost interest, or the English teams may have moved on as well. Now, guys can go to Europe. Some are playing for Inter Milan, and that's okay. But for me, the path across the water is maybe well trodden, maybe safer, maybe just better. And I would like to see that build up again. My point is probably two-pronged in a way. What we're saying is the Premiership nowadays is so rich you can shop at Harrods. So it picks from a galaxy of international stars and so on. And there appears to be no obvious trickle-down spending in the EFL from that, there's bandwidth now, apparently about 5 bands of countries and star players who can come in, but who fit certain criteria. The international established stars, brilliant. But it's the lesser down ones where they're maybe cheaper, Eastern Europe, Africa, that seem to have affected, where the English teams are looking to the east and to the south rather than to the north and to the west. So what do I want? Well, I think a good career is playing in the, not only the Premiership, but the other 3 divisions. Teams are well supported. There are plenty of those, well run, and very keen to have Irish players. What I want the local teams to do their best in lifting their professionalism, League of Ireland and Irish League. And there's signs of that. Keeping players involved, keeping them motivated. And English scouts from teams from England to come over and work with the system. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
If you have to wait until they're 18, do so or find another way to do it. But what we want, I think, is a throughput again, of good players. They don't need to be a Best or a Brady. They could be a McGuinness or a Doherty. There are so many of those players. My own favourite, Johnny Crossan, from many, many moons ago. I would like to see that, personal opinion, and it would involve the players, it would involve the league clubs here, it would involve the league clubs in England, and probably the administration to some degree as well. So those are my feelings on the subject. I want to see it. Some of you may disagree, it may be irrelevant, but that's just an emerald eye for me this week.
No, I have some light at the end of the tunnel for you. As a result of this text, which was from Keith, who's Republic of Forest, I dug in deeper, and that information originally came from a guy called Chris McNulty. Chris has agreed to come on, and we'll have him on the next couple of weeks. I'll just tell you about him. Chris, he's a reporter for the Donegal Democrat. He's a supporter of Finn Harps. Yeah. And he regularly reports on games down there for the Daily Star, RTE, BBC, Radio 4, and the Irish Times. He says he's a long-suffering Finn Harps supporter, as we all are for all our teams. But anyway, he's agreed to come on to us. But my point in mind, Chris, and we look forward to having you, Chris. The point I'm saying is that he said that on Friday night there were 3 English coaches at the Finn Harps game. One was from Derby. Everybody hates Derby. Derby, Nottingham Forest, and Brighton each had a scout at the game. So it's there, Colin, and maybe it's coming back again. I dug into that a bit deeper and found that Forest have 2 coaches or 2 scouts, both 71 years old, but in the game. And one is in the north and one is in the south. One is strong links with Derry City, and the other one is down in around Dublin, probably Finn Harps and stuff like that there. Just do a couple of comments here. Pablo says, sorry, not there tonight. We'll be there soon. Get well soon, Pablo.
Okay. Get well.
Look forward to having you on. Soon. I'm really looking forward to that episode because I know nothing about Lily. I know that he's very well
good.
He knows his thing. And also Pablo says I was a coach for 10s, 12s, 14s, 15s for many years and was amazed at the amount of talent I came across that was lost to other sports such as rugby, as GAA. And James Halley is saying there that Irish rugby teams seem to have produced a conveyor belt of top class players. Is it about time football does too? Good point, Jamesy. I don't know, different game, I suppose. I think the grassroots of rugby is much more structured. I think you've got certainly down all over Coleraine. You've got rugby teams that are rugby clubs that are the thing club in Cork, Coleraine, Ballymoney, Bandon. All these rugby teams, they have it. So maybe there is something to do with rugby teams. But anyway, that's that. Colin, that's some hope at the end of the time. I love of Irish players playing in the Premier. It just
let's see it. It's heartening to hear what you've said, and I know Spurs and a few others have Irish players as well. What I'm probably talking about is saying that don't just help hope for this Premiership gravy train. The derbies and so on. It's great to see them because players could go over, have very good careers, with a second or third or fourth division team, good salaries, good lifestyle, good setup, and contribute, to their teams and probably hopefully play internationally as well. So get over here and have a look. There's some good players, and I hope that continues. Okay, thank you. I think that's a topic we'll probably be developing as we go along.
Yeah, well, we will, but we'll have a good go at it with Chris, and that he comes on with us. That's what we about. Is the Irish scouting who's coming over to see what potential players that he knows of down in Finland, because there's a lot of them down there. I look forward to hearing him talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. What next? Paul, what are we doing now?
Note of concern. You want to talk about QPR?
Yeah. I just look at the championship there. I can't work out what's wrong with QPR. I know that they had a transfer blockage. They were fined money back in I think it's 10 years more, maybe more, 50. Okay, They're sitting rock bottom, 8 points, 10 games. I don't know what's wrong. Is it poor ownership? But I know that something's fundamental. They're playing Coventry tonight at 8 o'clock, and Coventry are 3 places above them. Big teams, big teams that are down bottom. Like I remember watching by QPR's ground and going, "Wow, it's a setup." And what has gone wrong? And I know that there's 2 people listening to this podcast that are QPR fans. I'm asking you, tell me next time you see me, tell me what's going wrong, what's happening. But it's sad to see a team stuck down at the very bottom like that, with no sign of, they're just in every area. Is it because they're not transfer players? I think that ends maybe a couple of years that they're able to start going into the market again. But then again, it's financial management, mismanagement, and that's all the game now, all part of the bigger picture now.
It is, and I acknowledge how well Spurs are managed financially. Before people get at me about Enoch. I was at QPR a couple of years ago. There was a match that was gone the day before the Spurs game. QPR West Brom. The quality was okay. The ground was nice. It was quaint, a lot smaller than I imagined it being. And it was lovely to see the old photographs up of Stan Bowles, Rodney Marsh, Jerry Francis, Ian Gillard. Some really good players in the day. Very distinctive strip. And I would like to see them back up there again. Their London team. Nobody hardly dislike, like Fulham, that kind of thing. So I know I'd like to see them back. It's very sad. I'm very sad about that.
Yeah.
But here's
we talked about relegation. We talked at the bottom. We've got a listener there, Liverpool fan. Who is going to win the league, Colin? I know it's early. I never think about these things properly until Christmas time.
Yeah. Okay. Who's going to win the league? Manchester City are going to win the league.
No, but you see, I picked. You see, there's something that you're missing in there. I put Haaland in as my striker in fantasy football, and he hasn't scored since.
Right.
He hasn't scored since. So I don't think they are.
Well, do you want to say anything about the fantasy league?
The fantasy league, I moved up a bit this week. You moved back a bit. It's all pretty much as it is. Jack Ryan's leading now. We'll look at it in detail next week. But on the league, and I'd like the guys to tell us who are listening to us who's going to win the league. That's the bottom again. Sorry.
That's okay.
But
the top of the league's not telling us. Not telling us anything that would. The top of the league's not telling us anything we don't already know. In terms of the teams who are there, I still think Manchester United have, ask more questions than they answer, even when they do win a game. And Tottenham, to me, I have to be honest, just see them. They need a run. Brighton, brilliant. Forest, brilliant. Villa, brilliant. But I think that there's maybe the real league is the teams who are going for 4th place. I think that Arsenal will be strong enough. City and Liverpool to fight it out between the 3 of them. But I just have that feeling that for a year or two yet, City are just that bit too strong. just a bit too confident. I worry about Arteta's mentality.
Arsenal?
At times. Yep.
Arsenal?
His mentality at times, I think. Well, no, I think they're a good team. I mean, all bias aside, they're a very good side. But they're prone to a Bournemouth. And I am not sure how he handles things going wrong. Personal opinion. Whereas Pep seems to have that. Yeah, generally, there's a lot of experience difference between them, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting just to see how Slot keeps going. That's for me. Yeah. Okay.
So James is saying that he, as he always does, and thinks that Liverpool are going to win and Man City are not strong. I actually tend to agree with you, James. I don't think City are as they were last year. I think they've lost a wee bit.
Well, they may not.
I fancy Chelsea.
That's not the question.
Chelsea are going to go on a run.
Yeah, the question is not are City as strong as they were last year. Are they strong enough to win the league? I think they are.
I don't think so.
I think they still are.
I don't think so. Not this year. I really don't.
All right.
Well, predictions for your game this weekend, Colin. You're away to Crystal Palace.
Away to Palace. I have to say, I think we will do okay. I don't want to say any more than that.
That's not really a prediction.
It's as much as I'm going to go because I'm superstitious. I don't like saying things, but I think we'll do okay. Yeah. Okay. Forest, what are they going to
do? Forest, I think they're going to win.
Right.
Though I just hope the event doesn't get on top of them because it's East Midlands derby. It is a derby match for us, big time.
Yeah.
I don't think Leicester, if Forest play the way they are and we don't get any injuries, as none of us want to get.
Sure.
So we've got a few comments coming in here, Colin. We'll deal with them before we.
Okay.
I think Forest are going to win at the weekend.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at a load of things coming in here. We have James Barry, Man City to win, Liverpool second, Arsenal third, 4. You could be right, James. You could be right.
I like that.
Pablo, any predictions for the El Clasico on Saturday, lads?
Yeah, Real will win that. I think they'll win that.
Okay. And Fergus is saying Arsenal are going to win.
Arsenal will win the league. So.
Yeah, right. I presume that's what he's saying. I can't agree with that. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I just think they've done enough. They haven't. Anyway, my 6-point prediction back to Forest.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You gave your prediction.
My 6-point prediction is halfway there. We got 3 points. We got 3 points Monday night, last night, and I think we can go and get. I'd take a draw right now, but I think we can get 6 points. Forest.
Well, is that a draw or a win? A win. Okay.
Sorry. It's a win.
I'm predicting a win. Okay.
No, I'm predicting a win.
Okay,
I
good
think
man.
Forest will be 5th place. I couldn't have dreamt. I couldn't have a start like this, Colin. I couldn't have dreamt of it.
No, I know that. No, obviously. So you keep telling me. Right. What's the answer to your puzzle?
Okay. Nobody had a guess at it, so I might as well just give you the answer. I have to find the slide now because when I lost
two of them, I think the Chelsea and City. Yeah. I've seen
Brentford, Leicester,
yeah.
Brighton.
Very good.
So that's them there. That's
I got two of them.
I
got two of them. I got Chelsea and I got
You
City.
did, yeah. You did.
But you mentioned that the others now, but I wouldn't have got them. Very good question. Very hard. So you win that one.
Okay.
And
then. Just final question. Pablo says he agrees with you on your prediction on that. So Pablo, thank you very much. Every comments, thank you very much. I've no further business for you, Colin.
No.
No. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. I will update on the blurb what we're doing. I think we'll Chris on next week and get this Irish thing with the transfers all to the front. Pablo on either the following week or the week after. I also have finally got a Liverpool supporter who's prepared to come on and isn't so shy. I'll be chatting to him either later tonight or tomorrow morning, and we'll get that organised. So thank you very much indeed, guys, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.